5 signs you or somebody you know might be a fearful avoidant and not realizing it. So I wanted to make this video because I myself, like so many individuals I've come across over the past almost 15 years, started their attachment style journey thinking that they themselves were an anxious attachment style. And for me personally, back when I first learned about attachment styles in university at a very high level and heard of the different attachment styles themselves, I remember thinking that, wait, I'm probably the anxiously attached one. And this is because the anxious attachment style side of the fearful avoidant is really loud. You know when you feel anxious. You know when you're waiting for a text and waiting for somebody to text you back. You know when you're feeling that stress inside of your body. And I remember learning about this back in like maybe 2009 or 2008, thinking, oh, that's me. I'm definitely I'm definitely the anxious attachment style one. But it wasn't until much later on when I started digging into attachment styles in a lot more detail that I realized, hold on a second here. Yes, I become afraid of being abandoned, or I become afraid of getting hurt. But even more than that, I shut down. So I want to unpack here some of the crucial differences between just the anxious attachment style versus a fearful avoidant, and how you can really start deciphering whether it's for you or for somebody else in your life. So here's the first thing on my own journey that I started to recognize as I dug a little bit more deeply. I was afraid of being abandoned, but when I was afraid of being abandoned, I had one of two outputs. I would either try to get closer to somebody and avoid that abandonment, but actually, the majority of the time, more, I'd say probably like 60-40 split, I would not like that somebody made me feel afraid of losing them. And it wasn't even like somebody was doing it on purpose. I would just be like, whoa, this is too vulnerable. And I would start to do what we call deactivating. I would actively try to push somebody away because I was afraid of them abandoning me. Almost in a sense, like hurt them before they hurt you. But it wasn't like I was trying to hurt somebody. It was like, oh, you could really hurt me. Let me keep you at arm's length. And one thing that's very different between just an anxious attachment style versus a fearful avoidant, and a really easy first clue to check in with, is that anxious attachment styles almost exclusively activate. In other words, they almost exclusively try to get closer to somebody when they fear abandonment or fear that person pulling away. Fearful avoidance, it can really be a toss up between activating and deactivating. They may try to get closer some days, and other days they might be like, whoa, this is too much. I need to really push you away. You are scaring me. My feelings themselves are scaring me. You could hurt me. Okay. Number two, a huge thing that will happen is you'll often feel like you're flip-flopping in relationships between wanting closeness and then really fearing or doubting the entire thing. And it wasn't until I dug deeper as well that I realized, like, wait, some days I really want to be all in and I want to be really close and push ahead and really build a deeper connection. And I crave that like intimacy and closeness with somebody. But other days, I am like, hold on a second. I am just totally second guessing everything. You might be coming on. I might feel like this is coming on too strong. Are we moving too fast? Am I going to lose myself in this relationship? And even though the anxious side is so much more obvious and something that you'll naturally catch more quickly, the avoidance side is very much there. And you'll generally see this isn't like a momentary thing. Yes, anxious attachment styles can have moments of doubt or moments of questioning things, but literally they tend to be moments. Fearful avoidants tend to have patterns, hours at a time, a lot of back and forth thinking about things, flip-flopping from one side to the other. And there can be these days of fearing that you're going to be trapped or engulfed in a relationship, or days of fearing losing yourself or things moving too fast. And this will be a huge piece. Number three, as a fearful avoidant attachment style once upon a time, I also, when I started getting close to people, I really had this deep underlying fear of like, I'm going to lose myself when I get into a relationship as a whole. I was afraid of being smothered. I was afraid of this idea that like the moment I get into a relationship, me as a person sort of disappears. And this is partially because of codependency that anxious attachment styles definitely will have. But I had a lot of times where when I was out of relationships, I would feel really calm and at peace. And then when I would start getting into relationships, I would start feeling this like push pull back and forth kind of volatility boiling within myself. And it was because there literally was this back and forth of like fearing abandonment, but also fearing being trapped, fearing being betrayed, not feeling like I could trust. And so those back and forth themes caused me to deeply fear, like, I'm going to get into this relationship and I'm going to lose myself in the process. And I actually would find myself feeling a sense of peace and relief when I would be out of relationships for periods of time, almost as if those were some of my most peaceful experiences or times in general. Whereas anxious attachment styles, when they are single, they will often feel like, oh my gosh, this anxiety from being single, this anxiety pushing them to find a partner, to find somebody to date, almost like constantly being in some sort of like limerence or pursuit of somebody. And that anxiety trying to get them into some sort of relationship. Whereas sometimes for me, I would feel anxious about going into a relationship and all the commitment that was required. Okay. Number four, one of the big things, really big things, is as a fearful avoidant, I would deeply fear bigger commitments. So I could commit to like the easy things. I could commit to going on a date. I could commit to spending time with somebody. I could commit to like a phone call, texting, making an effort. But not only was that sometimes touch and go with the communication piece, where sometimes I'd be all in and then I'd sort of disappear, but also it would be the big commitments that would just send me for a bit of a tailspin at the time. And this meant things like, committing to suddenly being in a relationship. And I mean, I can remember times where I really had strong feelings for people that I was dating, but the moment they'd be like, oh, let's be in a relationship, I would just start spiraling like, wait, no, I don't know. And I would really start to question things and become afraid. And that was generally because I felt like the moment there was a serious element to the relationship or the moment there was a commitment, that was the moment that now this person really had the power to hurt me. Once there was some sort of commitment or agreement to something, it was like, well, you could then betray that. And now that would cause me to spiral. And I knew that the more in I was with somebody, the more I was going to generally spiral as a whole. And really, what that was that this person was just a catalyst for bringing up attachment wounds that I had from childhood, from things that I hadn't had a chance to work through yet and really work to rewire. And leverage neuroplasticity to actually rewire and change in my own brain, which of course is something that we talk about all the time in the personal development school. And actually, on that note, before I tell you number five, I do also want to let you know that if you want to check out how to heal your attachment style in a tremendous amount of detail, and also in the shortest, most direct period of time possible, so that you don't have to constantly go through the tailspin of relationships and feeling like relationships are so hard or produce so much anxiety and fear for you. We actually have a course for healing each of your attachment styles, whether you're an anxious attachment style listening, fearful avoidant, or dismissive avoidant, in the shortest period of time possible. And if you want to check this out fully for free, you can by using the link down below. And actually, as a bonus, you will get to keep for life our attachment style course about how to build a securely attached relationship and all of the key pillars to building a secure relationship and exactly what that looks like. So I'll put the link to that down below. Literally, by diving in for the free attachment healing course, you get to also keep for life the secure relationship building course as well. So again, I'll put that down below. This will just be available for a limited time, so don't miss out. And last but not least here, one of the biggest things is that fearful avoidant attachment styles, they tend to operate through fight, flight, freeze, and fawn, whereas a lot of anxious attachment styles are mostly fawning. And maybe there's a little bit of a fight response or a little bit of a freeze response, but generally they are operating in like their fawning, aka people pleasing mode. Whereas fearful avoidance, they will be fawning sometimes until they get frustrated enough, and then they'll often fight or flee something, like push somebody away or run away or threaten to leave something or try to get away from the person that's hurting them. They can definitely have some freeze responses too, but you'll actually see most of their operating state is all of those fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. Whereas anxious attachment styles, they operate predominantly in fawning, aka people pleasing mode. So those are some big differences in case you weren't sure. I hope this helps you navigate your attachment style journey. You can also take our free attachment style quiz down below as well. That helps you just get really, really clear on where you stand. It comes with a personalized report. And that is it for today. I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you for watching. Let me know any other future content you want to see down below. And also make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of our daily videos that are here to support you with anything you might be experiencing in relationships. I'll see you next time.